So I have a gay friendship story to share. Um, for those of you who've been watching my recent videos, you know that I moved to Miami not long ago, or moved back to Miami, I should say, because I lived here for summer in 2018. And every time I move, I feel like it's a good time to kind of like start fresh and reassess certain goals and professionally, personally, and just kind of reassess where you are in life, right? It's a new chapter. And so I talked about this in a recent video, how I unfollowed a bunch of people on social media who I felt were either kind of like toxic and had kind of already started like fading out of my life anyway, or for whatever reason, I just kind of did like a social media cleansing, I guess. But another person that I recently unfollowed was a more significant implementation, I guess, because this was an actual friendship. This wasn't just a guy who I met, who I kind of casually knew or hung out with a few times. This was like an actual friendship. And he, like the other guys, noticed quite soon after. Again, I don't know how all these people notice who stops unfollowing them. But he was like, hey, like, what happened? Like, you stopped following me or whatever. And I was like, oh, this means like I have to have the talk with him now of like why I feel like it's just like, how do you tell somebody your friendship is over when nothing like drastic has happened in that moment or in the past few days or weeks or whatever. But the thing is, it was like a buildup with this guy of feeling like I feel like with this new chapter, this isn't the kind of person I want to have in my life anymore. And that's a very dramatic thing to feel and to share with somebody. So I had to figure out how I would communicate that to him, and I guess I want to share this story with you guys. So this is a friend that I made a few years ago, and you know, people say you have friends for different reasons. You know, like you have your friends that, you know, you can call at 2 a.m, you have your friends that you go out with, and I guess that's true. But I also feel like as I get older, I am getting more and more selective with my friendships, and I don't want to be around people who I feel like don't share the same values or have the same kind of character. And maybe that's judgmental, I don't know. But with this friend, he was always really fun to be around. Like exciting, fun, we would have a good time, he would make me laugh. But what I found is that oftentimes friends like that, who know how to make you laugh and were very dynamic, sometimes they can also be very superficial. I guess what I'm trying to say is like, most of my close friends that I have are more like serious professionals in a sense. So some of them are a bit more dry than others, but I like that they're reliable people. I like that they're consistent in how they are. They're not flaky. If I call, they'll answer, you know, or they'll get back to me, but I never have to like wonder what they're thinking. And then you have friends like this guy that this video is about, where I always had a lot of fun with him, but this side to him would appear here and there, and it would just really rub me the wrong way. And I guess the simplest way to say it is that he would be mean-spirited in how he would talk about people or to people, and sometimes at me. And I mean, we all make jokes about things and about other people and stuff, but with him, it just felt like he was more superficial. And it was weird for me when he would make these kinds of comments, because I would think like, I don't really know how to deal with this. I haven't had friends like this in a long time. Like, I haven't had those kind of superficial surface friendships since high school or since early years of college. And at that time it was easier, right? Because then it's like you leave high school and you just kind of like drift apart. And that was also pre-social media. I mean, there was Facebook, but now I feel like cutting somebody out of your life is a way more dramatic process because of things like social media. But I guess to be more concrete, like this friend, I always felt like the friendship was one-sided, So like I would have fun with him, but I also felt like he would only reach out proactively to kill time for him if he was bored. Like if he had something to share, he would reach out and like call me and tell me about something that happened. Or he would consistently reach out when I would travel to see if he could basically like freeload and join. And the kind of person I am and the kind of friends that I have at this stage in life, if I want to join somebody for a trip, I would say, hey, how about, can I join you? Like I can split, the hotel or the Airbnb. And this friend would never offer. He would just be like, oh, can I crash, basically? And, when you're friends with somebody, you're more open to being generous, but it would always rub me the wrong way that he would never offer to split financial costs. Like he kind of just expected to freeload. And for the record, like I never said yes, because by the time that he would ask, these other sort of jabs would have already happened that made me feel kind of like this is a surface friendship and I can't get too deep with somebody like this. For example, he would have this tendency to like really go in and criticize my singing. And those of you who are watching, those of you who are subscribed, some of you know I have a music channel at Kiven, which is my name. I'll put it up right here. But he would just be like really negative, and it felt like it wasn't constructive at all. It felt very like he just wanted to break me down, kind of. And so again, I'm not used to this since high school. Like in high school, I had a few friends who were like that, who had felt like they just couldn't be happy for you ever. Like you get an A on the test and they get a B, and they couldn't be selfless for a moment and just be happy for you that, you were the one who really studied and you got an A. It was like, oh, you got an A, like F you. Like you didn't even, I did more of the homework assignments than you. Like I had a few friends like that in high school, and I guess I forgot about it, and interacting with this friend now in our 20s would remind me of that. And I never knew how to handle it because it was like, I haven't had a friend like this in a long time. So he would do these things, kind of throw these jabs and do these things that would rub me the wrong way. Another perfect example is when I first moved to Miami, he reached out one night when he was in Miami, and it became very clear to me that he had no interest in my journey with finding an apartment. He just wanted to see if he could crash for the night. And once he realized I was actually still in a hotel looking for an apartment, he kind of just like disappeared. And I guess I kept this friendship going longer than I normally would because the moments that were fun were really, really fun. Like when we would go out, when we would talk about, nonsense. And he was also really smart. And when you have somebody who's smart and fun and you're lonely, it's easy to just kind of like tag along for the ride and not consider the other elements. And I think with moving to Miami and just the last year in general, I've kind of done a 180, and I just don't really feel lonely like I used to. I don't know what changed. I don't know if it's just getting kind of used to it, but I've learned the importance of sticking by what I feel and my instincts. And I've also just learned that it's better to be lonely because you're alone and don't have a lot of people around, as opposed to still feeling lonely when having different people around because you don't feel like you could totally click with them. So point is, my way of kind of slowly ending the friendship officially was to unfollow him on social media. And I guess I just hoped that we would naturally drift apart, but he noticed very quickly and was like, hey, like what happened, da-da-da. And I didn't respond because I was like, I just don't feel like having this taxing conversation of and this awkward conversation of this is why I'm ending a friendship with you, kind of like randomly, or to him seemingly randomly, but for me it's been a build-up. And then he reached out again, so then I was like, okay, it's time to talk about this. And I was very, thoughtful and verbose about it. Like I wasn't just like, hey, like sorry, I just don't really be friends. I sent kind of like a paragraph and I said, look, I think you're really fun, and we've had a lot of fun hanging out, but I just feel like different things have happened over time, things that I had brought up to him, some of them case by case, and I could tell that he just like never really got it. And I think a lot of this goes back to like emotional intelligence and understanding where other people are coming from and emotional maturity. And I said, I just feel like this is a new chapter for me, and maybe one day we'll reconnect, but I feel like right now we're going on two very different paths. And he actually was very seemingly understanding about it. And so it actually ended up being a lot easier and less weird, less uncomfortable than I thought it would be. But it's just interesting, right? Because to me, gay friendships have always been more complicated. I find that these themes that I found with him, I have found with a lot of other gay men in the past. The difference with him is it kind of, typically I don't stay friends with people like that, and with him, he was an exception. But then you get to the point where, again, what you care about comes back to the surface, and you're like, I don't really want people like this in my life. And I think that's part of the journey too. As I'm approaching my 30s, it's like I only want people around me who care about the same things that I do. And we all have different values, right? But at the end of the day, you still need to be compatible to a certain extent with the people around you. I'm just at an age where I don't want to have these like superficial, hollow friendships anymore. Have you guys had similar experiences?